Welcome to the Fresno County Pod Training Module for the Finance Administration section. Right off the top, we're going to refer to this section simply as Finance. As a member of the Finance section at a point of dispensing site, you make a big impact in making the pod successful. The Finance section is, simply put, in charge of all timekeeping and accounting functions. This means creating an accurate audit trail of all behind-the-scenes pod functions: procurement, timekeeping, cost accounting, and injury and property damage claims. Accounting for all these areas gives the Finance section an accurate and up-to-date picture of resource utilization in the pod. Just as the Planning section is record keeper for operations, Finance is the record-keeping partner of logistics. All of the request forms, inventory lists, and receipts from the logistics section need to be collected and accounted for by the Finance section. Finance is generally considered the least time-critical service. In small pods, the major responsibilities of this section are often postponed until later or handled directly by the Fresno County Department of Public Health. But don't underestimate the importance of Finance. Finance records are required for any reimbursement, and the injury and damage functions are mandatory if an accident occurs. If your pod is operating with limited staff, you should minimally keep a time-stamped audit trail, one document with time and transactions listed together, along with receipts for any payments and any documents pertaining to injuries or damages to property. Make sure to note the staff start time and the dispensing start time. In fully staffed pods, the Finance section does a lot more. Procurement involves contract negotiations and anything else pertaining to vendor contracts, leases, and fiscal agreements. This includes managing and tracking any petty cash required to keep the pod up and running. Timekeeping should also be incorporated into accounting functions with timestamp notations for important events, like the arrival times for medicine deliveries. Pod startup times, shift changes, and doors open to the public should be recorded and posted right on the status board for planning to use in their calculations. Cost accounting involves creating an audit trail by collecting all cost data. This data allows the Finance section to perform cost analysis when asked by command, provide cost estimates for the Planning section, and make cost-saving recommendations whenever appropriate. With luck, the injury and damage claims function won't be necessary. But even the safest activities can experience accidents. If these occur, emergency responders will handle injuries, but the Finance staff is responsible for documenting and reporting the incident and then arranging for repairs if necessary. This should be done with minimal burden on other pod sections. Don't let mishaps cost even more lives by disrupting the pod. Physically, the Finance area should be near enough to the command area for easy collaboration and access to the status board. Finance may receive ICS message forms with requests that may need to be routed to other sections, especially supply requests for logistics. All ICS forms should ultimately wind up with the Planning section, while all receipts and legal documents should end up with Finance. You should also establish a mechanism for cost-to-the-minute finance reports to be ready for the pod site manager. Coordinate injury or accident reporting procedures with the pod site safety officer. The Finance section lead is responsible for filling out the ICS Unit Log Form 214, documenting significant actions and decisions for each shift. Finance may also need to establish a plan for emergency acquisition of supplies and resources. Once the decision is made to end the operation and close the pod, Finance should ensure that all receipts are collected. And once the logistics team is finished with facility maintenance, The finance team should verify that there are no other unreported damages. Make sure to set aside sufficient time to complete a final financial status report. Remember that your work in the pod will live on as a primary record of how the operation was conducted and how much money needs to be reimbursed to all parties. The finance staff can make a big difference. Thanks for your continuing efforts. For more information, contact the Fresno County Department of Public Health Emergency Preparedness Program, fcdph.org. This video was produced in collaboration with Applied Creative Training, Inc., and made possible with the generous permission of the Alameda County Public Health Department, Office of Public Health Emergency Preparedness.